Yeah, we're here at Christ Church on the Adult Sunday class. Ringing. Yeah, one more sandwich.
That's how I think. So if we're going through something, it helps us with where we are at that point to get us to where we need to be. I may be wrong, but that's how I think.
No, I don't think you're wrong. Just trying to understand the initial encounter. What we're speaking about, the initial encounter in understanding who Christ is. Because most people, especially here in America, have heard of Christ. That's not a strange word to people. They know about Jesus to some degree. They know about the cross. You know, everybody, when you say the law, they know the atheists know why to reject God in their mind. Because they heard something about God that they reject. And if they had never heard nothing about him, there would be no rejection. So they didn't come to a place to say, I don't believe anything. They had to start somewhere. You follow what I'm saying? So that first encounter is important. And I asked that question because I didn't understand when we were talking about after the fact. Because you do grow in grace, and those are different encounters for different reasons. Like you may be saved, like we all are, and then we grow because of some incident happened in our life, some either a bad choice on our part, or whatever the circumstance may be. That's not the issue. The fact of the matter is, in that circumstance, whatever it is, you can call on him and he will answer.
Right.
That's what he said. Call on me and I will answer you. That's an encounter. You follow what I'm saying? But then there are growth encounters where we learn more of him. What Matthew 11:28 says, taking out your and learning of him. We learn more than we knew yesterday about his character, about his purpose for us. We learn a whole lot of him. So these are encounters too. They probably happen all the time. You know what I'm saying? Those kind of encounters. But the initial born again encounter where he introduces himself, as you just said, where we really are born again. That's a life changing encounter. That one changes your whole perspective on your need for Christ. And I'm sure in most cases, if not in all cases, people are at what we would call that wit's end environment, a bar where you really recognize that you can't do this. You can't stay where you're at, and you can't fix it. Right. You know, that encounter that brings about the new birth is the major one. And then all the other encounters, as he teaches us of himself, how he brings forth the teaching that we need for his purpose in us is different for everybody. Because his intent for us is in purpose for why he even saved us, and what he want to do with the lives he's given to us. That's what we really growing to understand. And you hear people make a comment, and that God has a plan for your life. Yeah. And the obvious question is, what is the plan? And if he got some plan for me, and if he has a plan for me, how can I mess up his plan? Because implied in God has a plan for you is the fact that you can mess up that plan. Don't you kind of sense that? If you were in the audience and pastor, somebody would say, God has a plan for your life. Your question is, what is the plan? All right. And then if it's his plan, what do I need to do to help him with the plan? Don't we kind of think like that? Like, that's how kind of way we think. And then later on you discover that God don't want or need your help. And that's a part of the growth process. That's a part of the encounters that you have when you grow to realize that, wait a minute, he said without me I can't do nothing, yet I'm trying to do all this stuff. So what is the answer for this? Me trying to do what God's going to do. You know, how do we balance? I know I'm trying to throw out a lot of stuff here, but it's because it's a growth. it will get you to these encounters get you to a place of rest. Eventually, you get to stop trying to do God,
Right, yeah.
the business.
Because we
You
can't
quit trying to make the plan work
help him or
that you think
right.
He has for your life, because you've been told that He had one, and now I got to go find out what it is
Right.
and make it happen.
Because that's how we're taught.
That's how we're taught, right? That's how we're taught. That's how we think. But that's not the way God thinks. That's not the way God intends for us to think as it relates to Him. And this takes time, and all those encounters, all those circumstances to really get us to a place of rest in Him. We can really rest in Him and say, okay, God, I didn't call me, you called me.
Right.
I didn't save me, you did that. I didn't even ask to come here. I don't even know how I got here. But they told me, because of my parents. And then, the list goes on. So that's how you get to a place of really rightly dividing the word, understanding the scriptures, getting all the false or misleading thoughts out of your head. Not necessarily false. They are false, but they're misleading. You understand what I'm saying? False in that they're not a true revelation or a true understanding of how God is. There's a lot of teachings that people teach that are really not the way God thinks. If you buy into that, then it's your thought now, and it's what you think. It's the way you believe God to be. And so you propagate and teach the exact same thing that you've been taught. Then later on, you'll find out if God has these encounters with you, that's not me. That's not the way I am. And that's where the patience of God, the long-suffering, all of His fruits that He tells us to have, we see it in Him first. And then we can see them grow in us. Where we become patient and long-suffering and kind and tender-hearted and merciful, forgiving one another. All those fruits of the Spirit that He tells us to walk in. And they sound like commands, because every time you read them, you think it's a command. But Paul didn't command. He said, I beseech you, brother, and I beg of you, I urge you to understand this. It's a difference between I command you to do something and I beseech you to do this. Grow to understand that this is how this actually works. So even though it sounds like I'm commanding you, beloved, let's love one another for love of God. And everyone that loves is born of God, he loves not, knoweth not God, because God is love. That sounds like a command, beloved, let's love one another, initially. So in our minds, we're not grown, we will try to do that. Then we find that people can't stand, people don't like. And then we say, well, how am I going to do this? How am I going to love these people that I've been taught all my life, that, white people or whatever people they are, Jew people, whatever, anybody that you're prejudiced towards. How am I going to get rid of this prejudice that I've been carrying for so long? I've been taught that, you don't walk with them, you don't talk to them, or they this or they that. You experience it yourself and you see other people still caught up in that. Then later on you'll find out if you keep walking with God that these encounters take place. That's why I was asking about the encounters, because they are vast and they happen all the time to get us to grow up in God, to get us to understand God. Like Howard was saying yesterday, the relationship change, you get to know God's character.
Yeah, you really get to know His heart.
You get to know how He really is. And now the word start changing in a sense. It doesn't change, well, our understanding of it changes.
Yeah, you discover.
Our depth of it changes.
You discover. It's no, and really, I like the way you put it. The encounters, because the encounters occur over and over and over and over and over again. It's called a relationship.
Right.
And it's no different than the natural, only in this sense that it continues in that way. 1 Corinthians 15 gives, especially from verses 35 almost to the end, gives a really stark, powerful, suspenseful contrast between natural and spirit. And he starts all the way from the aspect of you being born naturally,
Right.
which Jesus gave this contrast to Nicodemus. And until you are born, there's no way in the world you can understand this particular existence. Even as a baby coming forth, when you think about it, you understood nothing even about what you came forth from, because there was nothing there in you capable until you started interacting, and then you were drawing from those who already had
Right.
the encounters, the experience, the understanding of the existence that they are in. And even so with spirit, it's the exact, you have no control over being born. You didn't have it in the natural. You don't have it in the spirit.
Right.
There's a mother and a father who deals with this thing, and we that can even be long, drawn-out conversation, because as much as they were dealing with, it was a design of God.
Right.
And so when you came forth by reason of the design, even if that was their desire to do, they still really had no control over it. But once it occurred, then a process starts moving. And this process is all by God, even the natural,
Right.
but even more so the spirit. And so when that happens, now comes the encounters, as you say. The encounters of being fed, whether it's from mom's breast milk or being grown up so you can eat a little bit more, and then encountering others in the realm of this existence, and it grows out and out and out and out. Even so with God. Let me read this to you real quick, and just off of what I said, just think about what the Apostle Paul is saying here in 1 Corinthians 15, and this contrast and everything. You had something to say, Sandy?
Oh, no.
You look. I thought I saw your brains.
No, they're quiet right now.
Oh, okay, all right. But 1 Corinthians, like I said, the whole chapter, but 35, let's see, and listen to this. He said, but some man will say, how are the dead raised up? And with what body do they come? Thou fool, that which thou sowest is not quickened except it die. And that which thou sowest not that body that shall be. Now he's giving them a kind of example here. But bear grain, it may chance of wheat or of some other grain. So you don't know exactly what it is until it's been sown. Right. Who does the sowing? God.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't sow yourself in this thing, neither naturally or spiritually. Right. So he determines how you come out. So exactly how you are, you're perfect. You really need to understand that. And as much as they told Larry that he was stupid and couldn't do anything in those years, look at him now. If he had fallen into that trap. There's a lot of traps out here about who you are spiritually. Yeah. Be careful. But God giveth it a body as it hath pleased him, and to every, how many seed? Every seed, his own body. You're unique. All flesh is not the same flesh, but there's one kind of flesh of men, another flesh of beasts, another fish, and another bird. There are also celestial bodies and bodies terrestrial, but the glory of celestial is one, the glory of terrestrial is another. There is one glory of the sun, another glory of the moon, and another glory of the stars. If you take your time and just kind of meditate on this, you'll get some powerful stuff out of this. For one star differeth from another star in glory. Now that's wild. All we see is twinkles up there. Right. But there is a marked difference between them that makes them totally unique from me. God don't make duplicates.
No, he don't.
Out of nothing. Because he's not a duplicate. So also, listen to this, is the resurrection of the dead. It is sown in corruption. It is raised in incorruption. It is sown in dishonor. It is raised in glory. It is sown in weakness. It is raised in power. Remember, we're talking about being born again. It is sown, listen to this, a natural body. It is raised a spiritual body. Listen to this. There's a natural body and there's a spiritual body. They're different. And so it is written, the first man, Adam, was made a living soul. The last Adam was made a quickening spirit. Jesus Christ is totally a spirit, and all that you see and encounter him in. That's why he can be in you the way he can. Because it's spirit. Howbeit, now listen to this. Now this is important right here. Howbeit, listen to this. That was not first, which is spiritual. The spiritual existence of you is not first.
Right.
But the natural. Yeah. You were born naturally first. That's God's order. You had to come this way.
Right. In order to be spiritual.
Yes. In order for you to get to the spirit so you can understand and appreciate all of what he's doing. And when the question Larry alluded to when he's talking about how do I do this, how do I do that, da 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 da, even those questions, you're dealing in the natural.
Right.
When you ask those questions,
Until
how
you
do
get
it?
to
Until you
understand.
get to the point and understand that that's not the issue.
Right.
The issue ain't how do I do this.
Right.
The issue is
How do
God
I
is
do
doing
that?
this. Period. In you, expressing himself through you. He expresses himself through grass.
Yes. Trees.
And he wants you to help him by being unique. Yeah. Isn't that wild? But that which is natural, and afterward that which is spiritual. The first man is of the earth, earthy. The second man is the Lord from heaven. Now listen to this. As is the earthy, such are they also that are earthy. That's all you ever going to get from natural.
Yeah. That's it.
Is natural. You can't get over to spirit from natural by using natural to get there. It has to be spirit that brings you from that, because only spirit has power like that. Natural doesn't have power like that. Spirit has power where it can move you from natural to spirit. And that's exactly what your encounters are. Your encounters are moving you from those natural questions to spirit understanding.
Right.
That there is a God, the God that is living in you, that is bringing about all of what your spirit existence requires. Because you can't do it in your natural.
Nope.
You can't. And once you understand that, then you start walking in the spirit.
Eventually you get your rest.
Yeah.
Eventually.
And as we have borne the image of the earthly, we shall also bear the image of the heavenly. Bear it. You'll come to understand it. You'll come to know it. You'll come to walk in it. And even in your natural state now, you'll learn the difference between the two.
Yeah.
Because right now, there is a separation of the two. The time comes when he takes off of this. And Paul says that.
Yeah,
He says,
yeah.
now this I say, brethren, in verse 50, that flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of God, neither doth corruption inherit incorruption. Remember when Jesus appeared to those guys after he had been raised and everything, and they were behind locked doors, and he appeared to them, and they thought they'd seen a ghost. They knew the doors were locked. How the heck you get in here? Who are you? And he said, well, it's me. Now, listen to what he said to them. And see that I am not a ghost or a spirit as you suppose. So now, boy, this will mess you up. Spirit don't necessarily got to do with this.
Right.
Where you see on TV and they put their hand and it pass through them.
Yeah.
That's
That's his teeth.
that's foolishness is what it is. Because spirit, you can touch it. Spirit has
Right. Substance.
substance. Thank you. It can have mass and volume. Yes, it can take up space. And that's what Jesus said. He said, touch me, feel me. Now listen to what he said. See that I'm not a spirit that you suppose, for flesh and bone. You see what it says here? Flesh and blood. Flesh and bone. Now why did he leave out the blood part?
Because it was his blood that was going to cleanse for all sin.
And what does blood do?
Blood is life. The life
Yes.
is in the blood.
So that which he was did not require blood to sustain him. If we cut ourselves and all our blood drains out, what happened to the flesh? It died. Because the life of the flesh is in the blood. So this is a different flesh that he's talking about. Remember all those things where Paul was talking about all flesh is not the same flesh?
Right.
This flesh that Christ now has is immortal. It's incorruptible. This is a different type of flesh than this flesh that you have while you living here under the natural. But it still takes up space. It still has weight, volume, substance, as Sandy said. Now that's a wild thing. Because in a moment you can walk through doors. Wow. Not that that's going to be the highlight of your existence now. But you get what I'm saying? So your mind has to move now by the Spirit of God from this natural way of thinking to God's spirit way of thinking.
And that's what flesh and blood. I'm going to put the wrong thing. Spirit and flesh
War against one another. Yes. Yes, it does.
The flesh war against the spirit. The scripture says you cannot do the thing that you would because
Right.
you don't understand.
Amen.
Right.
We're born fleshly, and we're
Yeah.
more familiar with flesh stuff.
Right.
This is the house. This is where we came.
Yeah.
Now for us to transition our thoughts.
Yeah.
That's why our mind become critical to everything that we say, think, and do.
Yeah.
When we transfer our thoughts to think the way God thinks.
Yes.
And we'll find out that our mind, this is another encounter. Now your mind
Yeah.
beginning to change. So when you hear things like, I need to do, and you try to do, you realize that, wait a minute, I don't need to do that.
Yeah.
I need to understand what that means.
Yeah.
That's where relationship comes.
Yeah.
That's where the relationship becomes so critical.
Right.
But now when you're in the right relationship with God, He can talk to you like you're in a good relationship with your spouse.
Yeah.
He
Exactly.
can talk to you and you can understand what they mean by what
Right.
they say. Not just hear what they say, but understand the depth and the meaning of what they say.
Your heart.
Because you really don't understand what was being said.
You know,
Like Nicodemus when he was saying you must be born again. Jesus
Right.
said, you don't understand this. You really don't understand. Go ahead.
and I was just going to say, you talk about relationship, and it's so funny. Last night we had one of our usual quote unquote fire alarm things. Young men got in the building, they was in there smoking pot, and
Wow.
they went down there and pulled the alarm and all that, and broke the handle on the thing. So, just a whole bunch of mess. But
Lord have mercy.
while we were all sitting there talking, this couple was there, and it was like I could see that relationship between
Yes.
the two of them because
Yes.
they were so in tune with
Yes.
each other
Yes.
that they were almost answering each other's
Finishing
questions,
each
or,
other's sentences and
or,
carrying on.
saying what the other one was going to say.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that is really awesome.
Right.
Just the way they were connected with each other.
Right.
And that's how it is when we
Same
get to that,
connection with the Spirit.
right.
Yeah, when we understand
When we
it.
understand it,
When
right.
we grow to that place of
Yes.
revelation and understanding that, hey,
Yes.
and now when you talk, it's not you, it's God. It's
Exactly.
not it's not
Yeah.
you, it's the
Exactly.
Spirit that's in you talking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what Jesus says. It's not me,
Yeah.
the Father's in me. He's doing the work.
Yeah.
You think it's me.
Yeah.
It ain't me.
Yes.
It's the Father in me. He's doing the work. And the same thing will be our experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
You talking to people and they're at all, or they're getting their needs met, or whatever's happening to them, and you can't stand back and say because you do
Right.
understand.
Right.
It's not me.
Exactly.
Now you're being humble, like
Yeah.
God has taught us to be.
Amen.
You're still being who you are, but you know that it's not you.
Right.
Yes.
Christ is in you. He's doing the work. If it hadn't been for Him on my side or in me, there's
Right.
nowhere in the world
Yeah.
this need that you have would have been supplied.
Exactly.
It's at
Amen.
Him. So to God be all the glory and all the praise, not us. We ain't sharing none of this.
Right.
And God done said, I'm not sharing none of my glory, none of y'all, so don't even try that.
Don't even
Right.
try.
Don't even think that.
Don't
That's
even
not the
deal
way
with
it's
it.
happening.
Amen.
But you have to grow to understand it.
Exactly.
But now we understand why sound doctrine and sound teaching is
Yeah.
so critical.
Yes.
It's so
Yes.
critical.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
too many people
Yes. Thank you, Lord.
stay right on the surface.
Right.
And that's why God's going to be able to say in that day, many shall
Right.
come to me and say, Lord, Lord, did we not do? Because it was a fleshly doing.
Yeah.
It was an earthly doing. And flesh and blood shall not inherit the kingdom.
Right.
It becomes real simple to understand it. But then anybody needs to examine themselves and say, well, where am I
Right.
in this understanding? Where am I in this revelation of what God is doing?
Right.
But if you get, I'm going to say stuck on stupid, but I did say it. But if you get yourself into a church, this is really critical. I mean, this is real serious. Because you can get yourself into a congregation, a church where you love the church, where you love the surrounding, you love the atmosphere.
Yes.
You're loving all this fleshy stuff that's
Yeah.
being provided to you at this location.
Right.
And you'll stay there loving all that fleshy stuff that sounds so godly and so spiritual and so much like God. And you'll die in that place.
Yeah.
And you'll die in your sin.
Yeah.
And you'll die with no reward. You'll die saying, Lord, Lord, did I not do well? And I
Exactly.
participate every Sunday in the service. See
Yep.
how serious this is? See how, again, you go right back to Matthew where he says that straight is the way and narrow is the gate. And few there be that find it. But broad is the way that leads to destruction, and many there be that go there and
Yeah.
how that's going to happen? Because they stay in the flesh. They not understanding the reality of God and the Spirit, the separation. They probably never read this scripture and understood it. Read it with a question in my father. Explain to me what you mean by what you're saying. I can read it. But now I need, beyond reading, I need understanding.
Yeah.
I need to understand it. I don't,
Yeah.
And God says in James 1:5, if you like wisdom, I'm going to give it to you. So realize that you need wisdom. It's a principal thing. Therefore, get it. All I get understanding. That's what it's saying.
Yes, sir.
And that's what we're endeavoring to do here all the time. Get these understandings. Because the war is actually still on. The flesh is still warring against the spirit.
Yeah.
Always. So you always have questions. At least I do.
Yeah.
I have to really grab my first captain when I find myself asking God questions that I'm supposed to already know the answer to. When I find myself, my flesh trying to find myself to get me in doubt.
Yeah.
Right.
It's going to try to make you get into doubt and unbelief. God, how can you? We said this yesterday. It's just awesome. Why is God concerned about us?
Yeah.
Why do you even know that we're here? As vast as the universe is, as vast as existence is, as vast as creation is, where are we? That you would even consider us?
Yeah.
And then the answer to me come in mind because you created my image and my likeness.
Right.
Right.
So you need to understand what that is.
Yeah.
As small as you may see yourself in my vast universe,
Yeah.
you're in my image and my likeness. Now I get to understand what that means.
Yeah.
What that looks like. How I am. Just how I am.
Yeah. You still got
Yes,
that thing
it's
on your
a
phone?
Yeah, I still got it.
Yeah. Show.
Definitely got it.
'Cause that was a powerful image.
I was going to say to her, but that,
Yeah. Powerful image. Some of them may have seen it, but very powerful image.
This was sent to me by Pastor Lee Wong. He's what is he? I don't know what race he is. Indonesian, something like that. He stays on the mission field. He's a missionary all over the world. And in fact, he sent me another one where he said, I'm at the end of the earth. He was in one of them countries where the people got all these earrings and big lips. I don't know where he was, but he sent a lot of pictures of where he was. But he also sent me this thing here that was very, very interesting. Let me see if I can find it. And it took me a minute to find it. Where is it?
Yeah.
Thank you, Jesus. But it's something that needs to be on a big screen.
Yeah.
Actually, so you can really grasp.
Yeah. We can plug it up to doggone
Can
TV.
you plug it up to the TV?
I don't think we got a cable.
You don't have a
cable,
cable?
yeah.
You don't have a jack to go on it? Somewhere.
what kind of phone is that?
If there was a smart TV, I could do screen mirror. And I could do it from my phone. But I did it at home.
Yeah.
I
I think that is a
show what's on my
TV.
phone on
Smart
the
TV.
TV.
Yeah, it is. It can probably do Bluetooth.
Yeah, you Bluetooth screen mirror. But I need to know the address and everything. Let me find this video. Just want to find this thing real quick here. Where is it? Where am I looking? Let me go this way.
Yeah, that was very interesting.
It's not here. That's not the right place.
Display.
It's under my camera. Where is that? Thank you.
Check your messages.
Oh, here it goes. Gallery. Picture gallery. Here it is, right here. This is it. Ma, you want to try it over there first, or you want me to just
go ahead, yeah.
go on the
Go
phone?
ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to look at this. If you want to stand around like this, it's going to be a vert. You're going to hold it this way to get the big screen.
Okay.
Hit that button. I'm going to tell you because it's going to go kind of fast. If it was on the TV, you could read.
Yeah.
You need to read and look at the vision. I'm going to tell you what's happening so you don't miss any of it. It's a picture of a young lady laying on her back in California and looking up in the sky.
See if your wireless can detect this smart TV LH5750.
Okay, hold on.
You should be able to share it.
Thank you, Jesus. Oh, wrong place again.
Settings.
Yeah. Wi-Fi, right?
Yeah, Wi-Fi.
What is it?
Smart.
I just always
Smart
like
TV. Should come up above there. It's in there.
I like that color she has in her hair.
Yeah. It's pretty. What is it, like purple or something?
Check your Bluetooth.
Search. Bluetooth is on.
Like the little-
Oh no, it's
No.
not the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Check it.
It's off.
Yeah, just show it on your phone.
Okay. Okay, here we go. Like I said, this lady, she's laying on the ground. She looked up at the sky. And it's going to show from her looking out all the way back in the universe. What it looks like. It's going to come back, zoom all the way back to her, and go inside her eye. And let you see how deep things go, and the way they are later. It's very cool. Let me see if I can get this done. Music too. There we go.
Can you see it today? Yeah, this is a powerful image. All of this galaxy. That's just the Milky Way. All of the stars. How vast all of that is. You haven't even gotten to God's throne yet. I love it when he comes back to her and he goes. Like this. Down inside the mountains. DNA strands inside you. And this is what God has done. Yes. Subatomic particles. Neurons and protons. Amazing. Isn't that wild?
Oh my goodness.
Wow. That is amazing.
Yeah.
Now, what's interesting, and I pointed it out yesterday as we were watching this in our little fellowship, what's interesting about all of that is that all of that is purely mechanical. It's purely physical. Now, compare all of that with your soul. You can't even see that. We could see those with some really serious microscopes and the way that they have digital microscopes and things like that now that can see the different subatomic particles and the DNA strand and all of that. All of those are physical stuff
Right.
that God takes and utilizes for your soul to operate and interface with others. Now, you take all of that away, do you still exist?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Because you are more than that. You are so much more than all of that vastness that you just saw, way out there, and then all the way inside here, you are more than that. You know how I can say that's true? Because Jesus says, what will you give in exchange for your eye, your DNA strand, you know, the vastness of the universe? Your soul. Your soul is totally separate from all of that.
Right.
And can operate without it, because your soul is based in God. That's a wild mess. So now when you give your body, your mechanics to somebody, your soul is so wrapped up in it that that's what you're giving.
Right.
And you better be careful who you give your soul to, because you might.
Yeah, mess you up.
We had a powerful session yesterday with
Yeah, that was good.
Brother Paul Shekel.
Yeah.
Yeah, love, sex, and dating. The new rules. I really was designed that some of the younger ones were here,
Yeah.
so that we could hear from your vantage point, Janae, all of the interaction that we had yesterday. Would have been really good to hear from you all.
Yes.
And hopefully the next time that some of y'all will be there. I mean, a lot of them are over here with the Barbie thing going on.
Yeah.
They had a great time. Those kids was, Chloe was just off the hook.
Yeah.
I love her, boy, because look, ain't no cut calls with that child.
No.
look, Callie schemes.
Yeah.
But Chloe just all over the place. But it would have been great to hear from y'all.
Yeah.
You know, all of what you're facing
Right.
in this environment that you're dealing with, because a lot of what you face, we didn't face that when we came up.
Exactly.
So how are you dealing with it? And God has a perspective on all of that. And that's really the whole point of all of what we saw yesterday. What is God's perspective, and how can you make that your perspective?
See now, you just said, how can you make that your